When people were told and cautioned against joining Pastor Mackenzie and his church in Shakahola, they never listened. They were promised to go and meet their creator. The politics being propagated by the Wamunyoro team in this region is the equivalent of political Shakahola. I urge our people not to board. I want to take our listeners to the date that both President William Ruto and his deputy Rigyg Gachagua were sworn in at Kasarani, in the presence of then retiring President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The whole nation and other dignitaries who had attended the inauguration of President William Ruto, his deputy Rigyg Gachagua said, conveyed a message to the nation that the Kenya Kwanza government came into office and found empty coffers. On the basis of that pronouncement by his deputy, then Kenyans must have become vividly aware that the Kenya Kwanza government needed to mobilize resources to be able to deliver on the promises that were given during the campaigns. Among the issues that were clear in the minds of Kenyans was the debt burden left by the Uhuru administration for the country to figure out. The issues of the Euro board and other monies owed. The whole of that first financial year, 2022-2023, the resources raised by the Kenya Kwanza government largely went to debt servicing and restructuring. And therefore, in the absence of any other resources generated within the country, the government was not able to achieve much in terms of its development projects. However, in the education sector, 56,000 teachers for junior secondary schools, grade 6, grade 7, were employed. And therefore, in terms of what the question of achievements, the employment of 56,000 teachers across the country, and it happened in every constituency, is one of those achievements. The other one, which may not be visible to the ordinary people, was the payment of Kenya's debts owed to the international community and even locally, because Kenya did not default. In the second year, in an attempt to raise money for development, came the infamous Finance Bill 2023-2024. No, 2024-2025, which again, Kenyans loudly said that they did not want the finance bill. That meant, therefore, in the absence of raising new money that was not available to the government the previous financial year, we went back to perform at the previous level in terms of the financial capacity. As a result, all projects literally stalled. In the roads sector, almost all the contractors abandoned their work. As we speak today, the contractors working on our roads and the people of Nyeri have that evidence as they travel between Keno and Marwa. That road is nearing completion. So the people asking what the government has done, I must ask them, how blind must they be? Alternatively, they are the people who in the Bible have been foretold. They have eyes, but they cannot see. We came up with the affordable housing projects. In Nyeri town constituency, we have 2 affordable housing projects. At Brew Valley and here in Roringo. The Brew Valley project, the 3 blocks of 11 floors each are at 4th floor. In Roringo, the 4 blocks of 11 floors each are at the 3rd floor. And therefore, everybody knows that you do not plant and reap the following day. We have a period for work and promises to be implemented. The required resources, even when you have prepared your farm, you cannot say you have planted until you have gone and bought the seeds. And therefore, we are in the process. Today, in the road sector, virtually all the roads that were being constructed under the Chinese contractors, President William Ruto and his government renegotiated financing with the Chinese government, and a total of 42 billion shillings was released. Today, if you leave Nyeri town and go to, as you head to Karatina, at the place called Ihigaine, you'll find a road there that is complete. If you go to Mukurweini, you'll find a road under construction. If you go to Kieni, from Kanyagia, as you go towards Watuka and Darasha, that road is ongoing. And therefore, we can give examples across the counties. In Nyeri, in this area where my office is held, known as Roringo Urban Area, we have a perennial shortage. Roringo Urban Area has no school. It has no public primary school. Under the affordable housing project in Roringo, when the president comes to Nyeri town, he is going to lay the foundation stone for the construction of the first public primary school for residents of Roringo. So even those who do not want promises, they cannot take away the desire of Roringo residents to have a public primary school. The students in this ward, in this area, have to travel to the town center at either DEB, Nyamachaki, or Githwariga. Or they have to travel to the neighboring, those 3 schools are in Rware ward. Or they have to travel to the neighboring Katito Morogoro ward to Riamukurwe or Dhongoma. Or the kids have to walk 3 kilometers from here to Chorongi or Kwaderi Primary. So there are people who have decided that unless what they want has been done and done the way they want, nothing is happening. Roringo Stadium was inherited from the Kenyatta administration. I called the Minister for Sports, Ababu Namwamba, to Parliament to answer the question on Roringo Stadium. In that stadium, under the Kenyatta administration, a total of 307 million was consumed. That money did not go into Roringo Stadium. Those who were in government then, including the former member of parliament and his brother, who was the CEO of the sports fund where the money was coming from, are the people who should give the people of Nyeri answers. Today, we took time to terminate the contract of the contractor who was then awarded Roringo Stadium. The termination has been done. We are in the process of floating a new tender. So those who are saying that the president should not give promises, what do they want to give? about Roringo Stadium? Do they want it abandoned? Because they do not want new promises. When the president previously visited Nyeri town, I did make a request for the extension of the dual carriageway from Marwa into Nyeri town and Kimathi University into Chaka. The president gave instructions to the Kenya National Highways Authority to undertake the design of that road so that then it can be costed. Are those people saying that the Nyeri people should not be given the progress on that request that I had made on their behalf? There are people who have become hell-bent in stopping our government from performing and from delivering. Unfortunately, they will fail. There are people who have become hell-bent on ensuring that this region does not achieve any development in the 5 years because they want to become detractors. Every government gives promises. And we are at the mid-term. So what we should be asking is the review of the scorecard. Currently, in the health sector, we are implementing UHC. As we speak today, the government is in the final stages of signing an agreement, a financing agreement with the World Bank that will secure the supply of medicines and other medical supplies to the health centers and dispensaries across the country without exception for the next 5 years, so that anybody seeking treatment at those lower level facilities where most Kenyans are treated will no longer fail to get medication. So when you say the government should not promise, what is it that you'd want them to do? They must be able to answer that question. They are very good at criticizing. They have never offered any single alternative to what should be done. As Kenyans, we must all desire, irrespective of who will get back to power in 2017, that the country should have improved. In Nyeri town, I am also pushing for 2 water projects. The people of Kiganjo, the sub-location of Kiganjo and the sub-location of Gashika, have a project known as Wange Kanuna Irrigation Water Project that they have been pursuing since 2006. To date, they have never succeeded in completing the construction of the main pipeline. As we speak, the national government has accepted to take over that project, and we are in the tendering process. Why would anybody not want the people of Wange Kanuna Irrigation Water Project not to be told by this government, by President William Ruto, that my government has found money and we are taking over the burden that this community has struggled with for the last 19 years? The people who are asking for those things, who are driving that conversation, have projects in their constituencies that they were pursuing when they were in power. For the 2 years that they were there, because they were more senior, they ensured that those projects were unlocked. Why would they not want the same thing to happen for the other constituencies where they never said a word to support the development in those areas, yet they claim to love the people of this county, the people of this region? I am confident that in the remaining 2 years of President William Ruto's administration, the desires and the promises that I made for Nyeri people, that I will work much more better than the leaders who have been elected before me, that I will be able to deliver that reality. Today, the Nyeri National Polytechnic has a capacity to admit 13,000 students. But we have a shortage of tuition blocks, workshops, and students' accommodation. Yesterday, the government advertised under the affordable housing the construction of a students' hostel at the Nyeri National Polytechnic to accommodate 1,680 accommodation units for the students at Nyeri National Polytechnic. That will help us inject another 3,000 students into Nyeri town, improving the economy of Nyeri town in terms of what the students consume, in terms of expanded space for workshops, in terms of employment for TVET lecturers. Why would people not want the president to give that promise? Kagumo Teachers College. Again, another students' accommodation for another 500 students. That means we will admit into this constituency another 500 diploma student trainees who will consume in the 4 years, in the 3 years of their training, contribute to the Nyeri economy. I fail to understand the mentality of the leaders who are detracting this government from delivering. At the Nyeri town center, we have a market known as Mudavadi Market that was constructed during the Kenyatta era when Mudavadi was the minister for local government. I have sourced 328 million to upgrade that market from what is there today into a 3-storied market that would accommodate 1,000 plus traders with a social hall, with an ICT hub. That market, as we speak today, has no running water. It has no electricity. The roofs are leaking. It has no drainage. It has no sanitation block. The new market would have a powerhouse with a backup generator, cold rooms, bulk storage, restaurants, an office for the local market circle, a social hall, and a management office. But because the people who are leading Nyeri today are of the mentality that it doesn't matter whether you develop, whether you have development projects, that you will not be elected in 2027 unless you have the blessings of somebody who has said they have even written a political will for the region. They have opposed the construction of that market. And that is why the governor Nyeri refused to attend a function at State House yesterday. That governor Nyeri, at Whispers Park, we have an existing chief's office, which is the most dilapidated. And I challenge you, Horace, when you live there, please go and take a photograph of that Rwanda chief's office. Here, under the CDF, we have 9 million shillings lying, waiting for the construction of the chief's office, with a Jitume lab with a capacity of 100 computers, and eventually when that complex is completed, we'll have a social hall that has a seating capacity of at least 100 people, and we will have a free Wi-Fi hotspot that even young people can utilize. Today, the governor, up to this point in time, has continued to place roadblocks towards the demolition of that dilapidated office so that we can build a new complex. Apparently because it doesn't matter whether you deliver development, you will not be elected. Who tells them? They are not God. They do not know who will be alive and who will not be alive, including myself, other than God. Allow the things that can be done now to be done. Who is this who has had a conversation with God and has been given the revelation of what will happen in 2027? Why don't they allow the young people of this town to get a facility for online jobs free from their government, using money for the constituency development, money dedicated to this country? So this government has a report card. And I'm asking the people to judge us 5 years later. 2.5 years are gone. We are aware. We know because of the challenges, we did not perform as well as we would have wanted and as well as would have been expected. Please, continue going for your photo sessions at Wamunyoro. Nobody ever interferes with the photo sessions. Just give us room to work. Allow us to implement what we can. Judgment Day is coming in August 2027. Please wait for Judgment Day.
And
thank you.
You have mentioned the governor.
Yes. Yes.
He skipped the meeting at the State House. And earlier, when DP Kindiki came to Nyeri, he claimed that Governor Rigyg claimed that he was not invited. And again, he skipped the meeting at the State House. As government, how do you look at this? And again,
it is not up to government to look at it. It is up to the people of Nyeri. Rigyg occupies a position courtesy of the votes. The government did not have a vote in Nyeri or in any other part of this country. It is the people of Nyeri County and the people of Nyeri Town who must decide whether this is the kind of leadership that they desire to have for the remaining 2.5 years. That decision has nothing to do with the government. That decision is squarely in the hands of the people of Nyeri. They must decide whether in 2.5 years, Rigyg has nothing to show in terms of development in Nyeri Town constituency. Nothing. Other than what he was able to achieve as in his first term as governor in 2.5 years. Since the elections in 2022, I dare Rigyg to invite me as he goes and unveils one project, even if it is a classroom for ECDE in Nyeri Town constituency. In the last 2.5 years, Kashika Polytechnic, which was the model TVET institution in Nyeri Town constituency, has been closed. He's just busy collecting revenue from Nyeri people and rendering no service. This year, Nyewasco, which is a company wholly owned 100% by the county government of Nyeri, has increased tariffs. In fact, the tariff increases have happened across every water company. We saw demonstrations in Madera, we saw demonstrations in Odaya, we saw demonstrations in Narumoro. So he continues to increase revenue because the money from Nyewasco is county government revenue. It is money being collected from residents. So it is time for Nyeri people to decide. As Rigyg likes saying, kama baya. In terms of then who continues to occupy the position of Governor Nyeri for the remaining 2.5 years, I tell the Nyeri people to decide. It is important that we realize that the positions we occupy are positions to serve people. Rigyg is just amassing wealth, left, right, and center. The people he reads in Nyeri, none of them is increasing their wealth. Hii kazi anafanya ni gani? Sisi hatuwezi fanya. na watu wengine Nyeri hawawezi fanya. Hata hao sisi tunataka kutajirika, hata yeye haiwezekani ikuwe ni yeye peke yake na marafiki zake wanatajirika. Ni yeye and his godfather au ndio wanatajirika. The rest of us have become poorer on account of Governor Kahiga's administration. And that is why they are the people behind these conversations. When the president went to Nyanza, he gave promises and people appreciated. When the president went to the coast, he gave promises and people appreciated. When the president went to Northeastern, he gave promises and people appreciated. The president has been in Nairobi, he gave promises and people appreciated. This seed of telling our people not to appreciate will come to haunt us some years to come, including our local leadership and our local development. I'm urging us to think twice in terms of the direction that we are trying to take this region. In adding, when people were told and cautioned against joining Pastor Mackenzie and his church in Shakahola, they never listened. They were promised to go and meet their creator. The politics being propagated by the Wamunyoro team in this region is the equivalent of political Shakahola. I urge our people not to board.
Okay, possibly when you're still at the county government, this one is in regards to the Muslim community in Majengo.
Yes.
Yes, there have been conflicts by the Muslim community there of alienation by the county government, especially in the construction of infrastructure like the roads. You can see other areas, maybe they've gotten that kind of development. Secondly, there has been a rising conflict between that Muslim community in Majengo and the neighboring Wetemere residents in regards to the Mau graveyard at the Muslim cemetery. There has been a conflict of the boundary. And thirdly, there's been a conflict of pigs that have been released by the residents of Wetemere into the Majengo residential area. And now maybe you could give a small...
It is on the area of the boundaries.
Yes.
We have a fully fledged Department of Physical Planning. And we have a Nyeri Municipal Board. They should be sacked. That is their work. They just draw allowances and do nothing. Those cemeteries, I have been born to find them there. The old men and women who planned Nyeri before us clearly demarcated. The beacons are there. Every document for physical planning is available at the MOW yard. So only Kahiga can tell the Muslims why he's allowing their cemetery to be desecrated. It is unfortunate on the issue of pigs that one of the owners of the pigs that go to the Muslim cemetery is a government employee and National Government Administration Office employee. The bylaws in county government bylaws do not allow livestock to be and pets to loiter around the urban areas. We have an enforcement department. Why is it not being used? Yet we have an enforcement department that is completely structured, staffed with vehicles. When we have stray dogs, I see them moving around, shooting them and poisoning them. Why can the stray pigs be shot? It is a deliberate action on the county government headed by Kahiga. And Kahiga is in this town every day. So as he goes to the local supermarkets, he walks the streets, he meets with the pigs. But he's not bothered. He moved. He stopped living in Nyeri. He lives in Kamabaya. And I am happy that the Muslim community around Majengo has reorganized itself. I am aware that we have cleanups every Sunday. The Muslim community has said everybody knows where the religion holds the pigs. And I urge them, if this county government is not helping them, deal with the pigs. Because the government is supposed to serve the people. Once the government folds its hands, the people should be able to ensure that they have an acceptable environment under which they live.
And finally, in 2-3 days' time, we'll be having the Eid celebrations.
Yes.
Maybe you would give us a small message for the Muslims in Nyeri.
Yes.
And also the community at large, just as
It's true that we are on towards the tail end of the holy month of Ramadan, and this is a time for the Muslim community to reconnect with Allah, and we wish them well, and we even wish them a very enjoyable celebration to the end of the month. And the breaking of the fasting. I have requested for some assistance, and I'm sure maybe in the next 1-2 days we will have something to support the Muslim community in the remaining days. I wish them well. I am involved in some of the improvements happening within the mosques. In fact, I'm making a donation to the Rulingo Muslim. To the Rulingo Mosque. I did give in some tiles, and I know they have finished that. Now they are heading to painting, and by tomorrow morning, I'll give I did commit to assist the Muslim community around Rulingo Muslim village to spruce up the mosque. I am aware also that at the main mosque in town, opposite the governor's office, there are also some renovation going on. I had received a request also to support with some paint, and that will also happen. And for those who, the less fortunate, I am sure that we'll be able to support them with kitu kidogo, just in terms of foods for breaking the fast in the next couple of days. I wish them well, and we continue working. And in fact, I will work closely with the Muslim community to lock the representative positions in the county assembly of Nyeri for the minorities to the Muslim community, because largely when you look at Nyeri and the constitutional definition of minorities, then when you look at the spread of the Christian faith across the Nyeri county, then on account of that religion and the culture, then the Muslim community becomes a minority, deserving to always have one of them or two of them nominated to the county assembly of Nyeri. Thank you.